Aokiji says you're number one protege, but I think Kuzan is motivated more than ever at this point. I don't think Garp understands Kuzan at this point.
He just can't tell Garp.
But the thing is, Garp.
You think Garp doesn't understand his student, bro?
No,
Yes.
at all.
At this point, he's changed.
You know this tells me.
Right now.
You know this tells me. This tells me that this is exactly the perspective that Garp probably had with Dragon, where he feels like Dragon's lost his way because he's not trying to change the world in a uniform.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
But your ghosts are in uniforms.
So no, this is telling me a lot about Garp. He has a one-track mind. He really feels like change only comes within the Marines.
So here's my thing, but I think it's different because Garp, he was already in the Marines. He was an admiral. So if someone leaves the force, of course you're not gonna understand. He's not one-track minded, nigga. You was in the Marines. You was with us.
No, but
so because you got your bottom spanked, you want to leave and act all brand new? What's up with it?
Right, but he probably didn't tell him why he was leaving.
No, I think, but see, this is the problem because I think that Garp is understanding that the way Aokiji functions, he can use or enact his justice while still working for the Marine, especially after what happened with Akainu. And I don't think Garp gets that, and that's why you have it's just the different philosophy.
Garp got to understand people are different, right? The Aokiji that the Aokiji that Garp met, right? Ohara changed him forever, because Aokiji his version of justice used to be different. He was upbeat, lively, passionate. After Ohara, he changed forever, and so I think this is just the embodiment and just the change. And Garp is gonna see it here, where he's like, oh shit, this is a different person, but that doesn't make Aokiji a weak
honestly,
man.
It wouldn't even surprise me.
Yeah, and that's why
he hasn't been confirmed to be sword yet, right? Garp.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would argue this chapter is the best way to, I guess, go and dissect what justice is, using Aokiji and Garp as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great potential for
it's perfect.
That.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't think typically. Can you typically beat your number one protege?
I mean, the student can't suppress the master. That has happened. That is a
big trope.
Your number one. I'm talking about
big trope.
Your number one protege.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to think of a situation where the number one protege was not always better than the master.
Yeah.
Garo and Bang in One Punch Man, maybe. Yeah, but even that ended up being.
Hold up.
Wait, you talking about? Oh, okay. I only watched season 2.
Yo! I just thought something. It's possible that during their fight, right, it'll come a point where Garp finally understands Aokiji and his motivations, and he might give him the dub. The same way he let him the dub.
Garp is one of those old men that's not gonna change his mind on anything.
So he's
definitely not about to just allow Aokiji to win the fight.
Because I think we're underestimating Garp's character, right?
Exactly.
Garp is a very complex. Yes, Garp is a very complex and understanding Marine. I think that's been shown throughout the entire story. I think if he hears Aokiji out, which I think there will be a time where they actually talk, whether they're both done fighting, whether they're both someone's taking damage.
You even told in the fight with Akainu, they were talking to each other. So yeah, go ahead, Jay.
No. That's really all. I generally just think that Garp is more understanding than any other Marine. Otherwise, he would have climbed up the ranks like all his other proteges did. He didn't become he chose not to become an admiral for a very specific reason, which shows he clearly has self-awareness of what's going on.
I don't know, because it's like
I would argue that Garp isn't perfect.
No, I think even in the midst of what's going on, Garp still being a Marine is ludicrous.
No. I disagree with that.
I disagree with that.
This is why I say that Garp, I don't think Garp is misunderstanding the situation with Aokiji, because they just have different mindsets. Aokiji believes that in order to do what he has to do, he has to leave the Marines. Garp has shown throughout his career he can do what he wants by not becoming an admiral and still having his own sense of justice by still being in the Marines. Same with Kobe and everybody else in Sword.
But now, here's the thing. I don't think Garp actively has done anything to make the Marines better.
I'm saying he sees Aokiji. I don't think he sees Aokiji as weak because Aokiji feels like he took the easy route. He left the Marines to go and act that change that.
No,
that's
here's what I'm saying.
Route.
I think for Garp, right? I think Garp being who he is and being as driven by his own interests, right? Where it's just like, all right, I'm who I am. I'm in the Marines, but I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I think that has inspired many, right? And even Sword is probably based off of Garp.
Right.
But but my thing is, as far as actively, right? Like, does he think going through and I guess being a Marine, how does he impact the Marines actively?
I agree with you that he probably he hasn't done anything, and he knows that. That's why he desperately wanted people like Ace and Luffy to become Marines, because he's like,
and probably
where I'm at now, I can't do this. Like, I'm too old, or like, I've already spent too much time in the Marines, and I haven't been able to make significant change besides just being the image of the hero, right? Yeah. But with this new generation, this new crop, that's why he cherishes Kobe so much. Because like, you have what it takes. You can actually make those changes that I couldn't make, right? So
I understand that perspective.
I just don't.
There is to Brago's what Zaki's saying, because like I feel like Dragon might mirror what Aokiji is right now to Garp. Like, I feel like he might be just feeling a little bit of what happened to Dragon, like something happened to him and then he became a revolutionary instead of a Marine. I feel like he doesn't want that to happen again. Same thing with like Luffy and maybe even Ace too. Like, he might see all these failures and doesn't want that to happen to Aokiji too. So I don't know.
There is the one scene in Punk Hazard where he's speaking to Smoker, which is another one of his friends or close people in the Marines, and Smoker's like, is it true what I've heard? You with the underground, bro? And then Aokiji's like, I'm still me, Smoker.
I'm still me. Yeah. I'm still me. Based on that, that's the main reason why I don't believe any of the smoke screen. Right?
Yeah.
He's still a good person.
I wanna. He's definitely still a good person, but sometimes I think he's gonna become more of an anti-hero. I think he's gonna become more of an anti-hero.
No, but sure, an anti-hero, but whatever Aokiji's doing is going to make the world a better place.
That's literally how Akainu thinks, and that's probably why Garp sees him as being weak, because he's taking. Listen, right? There's Marines in Sword that have handed in their resignations just so they can break rules and do whatever they want and enact the change they want. And there's also Marines that aren't in Sword that are enacting the change they want. Just look at Fujitora. Fujitora literally disobeys his higher ups all the time, and he's one of the few Marines that have actually made a change by like making sure the Shichibukai went away. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Can I say one thing?
So that's why I don't buy this whole Garp just doesn't understand that to make a real change you have to leave. It's just that Garp sees that you took the easy route. That's why you're weak and you lost your weight.
Yeah, I want to hear what Nero has something to say. He a little low, so we haven't.
I got something to say. Nero?
Yeah, my bad. I'm driving, so I'm gonna make it quick. But what about like the factor of like Akainu's personality being more like, those people that just like hate a certain subsect and then so they go harder. You know what I mean? So it's like his shit is also, you gotta say he's got will and wants to enact his change, but I feel like he's got a lot of more general pirate hate rather than like, because the other Marines we talk about take the time to like, Garp, Kobe, the people who kind of like separated themselves. Those Marines we ran into take the time to like actually understand whatever pirate they're dealing with.
Yeah, you got a point. He is fueled by aggression, so yeah, you got a point.
Who, Akainu?
Oh yeah, 100%. He's like one of the most aggressive people in this damn series.
He wants to eradicate all
pirates. Alone just makes it big magma. God.
Garp is like one of the best characters.
I think Aokiji and Akainu are two sides of the same thing. Not in the same way Blackbeard and Luffy are. Not in the same way that Blackbeard and Luffy are, in that like they're very closely linked. I mean, in that they've got the same end goal. I think that Akainu is a bit more blatant. I just want to get rid of all pirates. But I think Aokiji has the exact same goal, but he's going about it a very different way.
I think now Aokiji's finally being a part of the Marines. I'm sure he's seen a lot, obviously, right? We know he's seen a lot. And I think he's now like, bro, like I can make my own decisions and do what I want to do, right? Being restricted by the Marines for so long, Garp does not understand this.
You know what's funny? I think Garp should understand it, because the whole reason why he refuses to be promoted is because he knows, like, I can freely do what I need to do.
But Garp is looking at Aokiji like, look at me. I'm a Marine and I do what I want to do. You didn't have to leave.
Yeah, like well, I guess in terms of
that's how I took it as why he's calling him.
And Aokiji's like, but you don't know what I want to accomplish. Maybe I want to accomplish different things than you accomplish.
Well, there's another reason he actually left was that it said he couldn't stand the idea of working underneath Akainu.
Right.
Or the Marines, working for the Marines led by Akainu.
I mean, because they clash in terms of their visions, like where.
Just like Theory said
I was going to say, like,
just go about
how much do we think Garp knows about the ancient history?
Quite a bit, I would assume.
I think he knows enough.
You think?
I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows anything. He's like,
you think he's remained ignorant on purpose?
I think he just doesn't care. Like, he's the type of guy to fall asleep at the stories, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I feel like if you went up against legendary figures like Rox and then Roger, there is no freaking way that at some point you didn't get exposed to some kind of information or knowledge.
Luffy's been exposed to stuff, but he does not care about it. It's
a similar thing with Whitebeard. I feel like if Roger didn't like go out of his way to tell him, Roger and Whitebeard is different.
Let's escape. What were you saying?
I was saying it's the same thing with Whitebeard. If Roger didn't go out of his way to tell him anything, I feel like Whitebeard literally wouldn't give a fuck. He just wanted to get. Like he said, he just wants a family. So I don't think he really cared for all the information, though he was exposed to all the greats, all the goats.
But Garp, Garp has been exposed to a lot of.
Right? But he's also not a pirate, so it's different.
Garp has been exposed to a lot of bad shit, right? And he knows like the underbelly of the Marines and how. I don't know if he knows about Emu. But I would say he knows about obviously he knows about the Gorosei, but I'm like, he probably knows about the slaves under Mary Joa, right?
Yeah, he knows about that.
He was at God Valley, so he knows about like the shit going on over there. So it's like, for him being there, like he can do whatever he wants to do, but at the end of it, he's still restricted. He is. And so for Kuzan, it's like he doesn't want those restrictions. And I think he's finally becoming the person he saw himself being in the Marines. But it's just a different form of justice that Garp doesn't appreciate because he's not a Marine.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it makes much more sense for Kuzan to come out on top here, because I think for Garp to understand his ambitions, because typically we translate ambition to will and strength. And so I think Kuzan showing Garp that, no, it's not just a passive thing here. Like, I have my own motivations, and I'm still me. I'm still that nigga. Don't get it twisted.
I think it would be interesting. Because it might be fueled by him being with Blackbeard and the type of people Blackbeard has in his crew. It'd be interesting in like a hypothetical if Aokiji had joined Roger's crew instead, for example, if Garp would say the same things to join.
And I think I also feel like they both have very different perspectives on the Marines, where Garp feels like it can be fixed from the inside, and people like, you know,
he feels like if there's enough good Marines, then the Marines are inevitably going to change, right? And he feels like his impact, like by him being himself, obviously Sword kind of, you know, branched off from that. But for some people, they don't want to be as passive with it, right? They want to actually impact change that they can see and point to. But
it's like the difference between a revolution and trying to work within the system and make it better.
Yeah, it's like I have a plan to make these things happen. Where for Garp is like, if I can impact enough people and change enough people's lives, and the culture is going to change here. And it has.
I think that Garp's way has been shown to be flawed though many times. Like even just like his nurturing of Dragon and Luffy and Ace, and how
even with Kuzan.
And how it's come back to bite him.
Like, because he inspired Kuzan, right? But he can protect him from the realities of the Marines and the Navy. As much as he was inspired by Garp, what Akainu did to those people, it broke him. He was like, bro, what the fuck? And this is allowed?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's not even necessarily right or wrong. It's just a matter of what your perception on justice is, because the way in what Akainu did also came from a place of ignorance, right? Because I feel like he was brainwashed into thinking any scholars that try to learn about the ancient history or whatever, they're actively going against the greater good, and so they need to be eradicated. So that's the way he did it. We know better, and Aokiji knows better, but he doesn't see it that way. He's like, nah, all that you people are doing here, it's like
I don't think it's ignorance though. I think with Akainu, it's more like even if there's a 1% chance that somebody on that ship, like they could all be good people, but if there's a 1% chance that one of those people one day revive Pluton and use it as a weapon, right? Then it's worth sacrificing like 100 scholars and
it's absolutely he wants 0% chance of evil.
It's not about ignorance.
I don't think because Akainu wasn't wrong, right? Because based on what the Marines were trying to do, they were trying to stop the possibility of them finding something, right? And so within the rules of what they were trying to do, you're not sure. He was actually right.